You know, it's really fascinating to me, at least, but soon to you as well. It's really fascinating to see that there is great purpose in the way our Siddur, our prayer book, is constructed. It's really not done randomly. Our sages, our rabbis, when they compiled the prayer booklets about 1,000 years ago, went through great length to really find what would work when. And there is this kind of a crescendo, there is kind of this leading up to the Baruch, the Shema, the Vayishlach. We have in tradition a lot of poems and music and psalms that are read. It takes a while to get to the place where we can finally rise to share in the Baruch, and then the Shema, and then the Vayishlach. There is this building up. Because you can't just show up and just stand and say the Baruch, because Baruch is really a unique form of prayer, connection, conversation, deepening, whatever works for you. Baruch is an invitation to bless. And I've said this many times, but when we are coming to a place where we open ourselves to blessing, then what we bless is actually just like the Baruch tells us. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, bless the Eternal One, bless all that is as one. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The terrible and the magnificent. The great light and the great shadow. When we get to this place, when we are able to stand and say these words of deep blessing, we bless it all, and blessing it all, we come to this place of realizing that what the Baruch is inviting us into is to let go of our need for what is to be any different than it is. If we're going to bless the light and the shadow, then we are de facto standing in the place where we no longer resist the unfolding of life as it presents itself to us. We take it as it is. And then comes a deeper realization that if I am in that place of just embracing life as it comes, letting go of my need for anything to be any different than it is, then I have to acknowledge also my powerlessness. The powerlessness of my ego in facing this great unfolding of what is, this great evolving of what is. Now I'm very conscious that these words, powerlessness, letting go, surrendering, are challenging words. They are very challenging to our ego, and they are very challenging perhaps specifically because of the last couple of weeks that we as a nation have been faced. Watching the news somehow repeat themselves day after day, the same stories, different characters. Because we want to come to a place where actually, in fact, things would be different. We're not happy with what we see, and we resist what we see. We want things to change. And we can't really embrace our powerlessness. We have to embrace our powerfulness to effect change, don't we? You can't ask us to bless what we see is a curse. The time is to be angry, isn't it? Nobody ever said that spirituality was easy. Spirituality is probably the hardest thing any one of us can be involved with. But if you hear, or better, if you read, I've been reading those bumper stickers that says that if you are not angry, then you're not paying attention. Do you hear that invitation? In anger, in resisting. But that's the ego talking. Right? That's the ego resisting. That's the ego reacting. And that's all fine and good, but we have to bear in mind that the place from which the ego reacts, the place from which the ego resists, the place from which the ego demands change, gets angry, seeks to solve that problem, is the very same level of consciousness from which that very problem arises in the first place. And we really know, all of us know, that we can never solve any problem if we face that problem at the very level of consciousness from which that problem is arising. We have to reach to a higher ground in order to gain greater perspective. And from that greater perspective, more possibilities of resolving will appear. But if we are stuck in that place, that flatland place, there is no way for us to find the answer that we seek. So what we'll do is we'll patch things up. We'll do things like we'll change some of the laws. That will make things better. We'll give the police officers to wear cameras on their uniform. That will fix it. We'll look for ways to fixing things in the short term. Just like we did some years ago, we went to bomb Iraq in response of 9/11. But that's the ego, the back and forth of the ego, trying to fix things as they arise. We're going to fix this. But fixing it at that level doesn't address the deeper level from which the problem arises, and never does. That's why I say that the ego is, in fact, powerless in the face of life arising. It can't know the solution. It doesn't have any control over what it is unfolding, because it's in this place of reaction, of anger, of unconsciousness. So the Baruch Hu is an invitation to step beyond that. Can we for a moment pause and see the light and the shadow in what is unfolding right now? See the darkness as it is, without denying the darkness of what we are faced with, but see also the light, the possibilities, the healing. What is required, what the Baruch Hu does, is that it helps us shift our consciousness. That's what it does. That's why it's such a radical prayer, blessing. Because right there, it pushes us to shift our consciousness. What do you mean I have to bless it all? Whoa, I'm so good at cursing. Now I have to bless? Wait a minute. But that's what the Baruch Hu does. It pushes us forward, moves us out of our known place. And that's the first step. That recognition that we have no control, that recognition that we are powerless, that recognition that we need to take what is as it is. And then is the Shema. And the Shema comes, step 2. The Shema says, listen. The Shema says, listen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu. The Eternal One is that which manifests through you. Listen, hear. Be still. Be quiet. And deeply listen. Listen to the pain. Listen to the anger. Bear witness to what is. Enter into a state of meditation, enter into a state of discernment. One of my favorite meditation teachers his name is Adyashanti, is often asked, so how do you even start a meditation practice? And he often says, well, it's very easy. Sit down and shut up. That's what the Shema is telling us. Sit down. Be still. Be extremely still. And listen, pay attention. Hear. Realize that the thoughts that are arising in your awareness right now are out of your control. They're out of your control. If they were in your control, you could stop them, but you can't. Realize that the emotions that are arising right now in your awareness are out of your control. If they were in your control, then all of us would always be happy 24/7. And these thoughts and these emotions are the noise, the chatter that is preventing you from hearing, from listening more deeply to the still small voice within. That voice of the one you've always been, the voice of the one you always are. It's inviting us to step into Shabbat. Shabbat meaning resting, as if we are resting. We're stepping a little bit in the background of the noise appearing, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations. L'shavet, Shabbat, l'shvot is to step back. Step into the background, detach from the foreground. And in that space, quiet can arise. And then there is the third step. Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta tells us, now you can love. And that's where the solutions is going to arise, from a place of love. We are accepting what is as it is. We're letting go of our need for anything to be any different than it is. We are acknowledging that I am not the thoughts, I am not the emotions, I am not the sensations, I am that which is observing, witnessing. I am already sitting in the deeper space of consciousness. I am moved away from the slavery of being collapsed into my thoughts. Now I can be not attached to what is. I can watch it, observe it, be with it. Bear witness. I'm gaining perspective. I can see more, I can know more, I can understand more. And simply from that place, without forcing it, the still small voice of oneness will whisper in my ear the necessary solution to whatever problem is facing me, my community, my nation. And we will know that it is the right answer because we won't have any emotional attachment to it. Right? I mean, you can feel it right now. We won't have any emotional attachment. We won't need it to be the right answer. We won't need it to be the answer that will bring me praises. I get a pat on the back for it. No need of any rewards. If it's the right solution, it's the right solution. I don't have any say in that. And I don't have any fear that it might not be the right solution. What is arising from within that source is lishma in Hebrew, which is an act that is done just because. And an act that is done just because is an act of love. It has to be an act of love. It's an act of love because it embraces the darkness and the light. It embraces not just the victim, but also the perpetrator. And holds them as one, knowing that in everything and everyone there is light and there is darkness, in all of us. It embraces the evil and the goodness. An act of love is an act that moves beyond the dichotomy. It's an act that doesn't take sides. That doesn't seek to support these people and not those people. A true act of love does never take sides. And it is freely given. It is an offering that is not attached, that is not conditional. And that's why I love Esau. I know you were wondering, how is it going to connect this with this week's Torah portion? I love Esau. Esau is Jacob's brother, remember him? 2 weeks ago, Jacob did these terrible things to him. He tricked him into giving him his birthright. He stole his father's blessing, firstborn blessing from him. And Esau, at first he's described as this man of the fields, the hunter. He's a smelly guy with red hair. He's hairy everywhere. He's really not the guy you want to have a beer with. It kind of scares you. And when Esau finds out what Jacob has done to him, when he comes back to camp, his reaction is that of anger. Because he's acting from his ego consciousness. He wants to kill Jacob. I'm going to kill this guy for what he's done to me. Jacob knows, hears, runs away. And for 20 years, Jacob is going to be staying with Laban, his mother's brother, his uncle. Away from Esau, away from death, really. But at some point, God tells Jacob, okay, enough of this. Now you got to go home. You got to go home and confront your brother. You can't run away forever. You have to do it. And we have the stories. That's this week's Torah portion. Jacob is coming back. Jacob is coming back with the family he's grown, with all his possessions, and Jacob is completely terrified. Terrified! I'm going to meet Esau. He's going to want to kill me. He's going to kill me. Oh my God, he's going to kill me. Oi, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. What am I going to do? He's going to kill me. And then one of his messengers comes back to camp, and one of the spies he had sent ahead comes back to tell Jacob, oh, by the way, your brother is coming to meet you, he and 400 of his men. And Jacob is just losing it. Now, he's not only going to kill Jacob, but he's going to kill everybody in his camp. And the day breaks. And here is Esau. Esau meets his brother Jacob. And instead of brandishing a sword to take his heart, he embraces him, he hugs him, he collapses on his shoulders and cries. Cries on his brother's shoulders. And that's why I love Esau. He's the mensch of the two. He really is. He's the mensch. He's the hero. We've come to believe that Jacob is the greatest and the hero and the father of our nation. But Jacob, after Esau embraces him, tells Esau, love your brother, go ahead, I'll follow you, because Esau invited him back to take over the camp of his father. And Jacob says, you go ahead, I'll gather my stuff, I'll follow you, I'm right behind you. And Jacob goes into a different direction, never to go back home. But that doesn't bother Esau. Because Esau has spent the 20 years going from anger and resentment, from murderous thoughts, through the Baruch, realizing that this is what is. It has happened. And I need to let go of the need for anything that was to be any different than it was. This is now. This is it. And I need to embrace that. And then I don't know, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, he moved into the Shema. He went and he became quiet, he became still. And he heard at some point, the 7th year, the 13th year, the still small voice that told him, look, I am the one, Adonai Elohecha, Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am the one flowing through you. I am the one flowing through your brother Jacob. I'm the one flowing through your parents. I'm the one flowing through everything and everyone. There's only one story happening here, and it's mine, not yours. You are an instrument, a channel, a conduit through which I unfold. So the solution came to Esau. Esau got it. Esau said, then I am going to be a channel for your love. I'm going to be a channel for your forgiveness. And when I meet my brother, I'm going to open his heart, if I can. I'm going not to kill him, I'm going to embrace him. Because he too is a manifestation of your vitality, of your compassion. Even if when he's Jacob, he doesn't know it. He knows it when he's Israel. When he's Israel, Jacob knows what Esau knows. But when he falls back into lower level of consciousness, when he's Jacob again, he forgets. He forgets. So he turns his back on his brother. But the solution was right there for Esau. The solution is peace. The solution is wholeness. The solution for us in the predicament we find ourselves is to get to the root of our racism. You want help that we fix this and we fix that. I mean, you will have some. But we have as a culture to dig down deeply and listen, bear witness to the truth of what has gotten us into this place in the first place. And until we are willing to tackle the deeper cause, the deeper roots, it will continue. Today, tomorrow, next week. When we get to that place that we are able to love our neighbor as ourselves. God, we've been told that 2,000 years ago. You'd think after 2,000 years, we would put into action, we would understand it. But no, we still are wrestling with it. Because we are not yet at the place where we can hear Adonai Eloheinu. The Holy One is that which manifests through all of us. And this is his story, her story, not ours.